So one of the biggest problems that legal service providers face today is how to increase or even maintain their profitability in the face of increasing competition. I mean, I spend a fair amount of my time working alongside clients to help them build the business case to address exactly that challenge. And as we all know, building robust business cases is hard and there's many different elements. But for me, one of the consistent standout items across all of these business cases is optimal resource allocation. Why does it stand out? Well, it's easy to measure, and if achieved, is potentially a huge boost to profitability. So what is optimal work allocation? So work allocation goes hand in hand with work disaggregation, and work disaggregation is all about breaking down large pieces of work, such as a legal matter, into its constituent parts, processes, or tasks. And once we've broken down that overall matter into a number of discrete parts, we can then look at what is the optimal allocation of those pieces. We can look at who is best to perform that work. Should it be the lawyer? Could it be their paralegal? Should it be a shared service centre? Or indeed, could it be the machine? With the ultimate aim of getting the right person to do the right work, where right means the right expertise at the right price without destroying customer satisfaction. So here is how ShareDo helps with allocation. So there's two elements to this for me. First, we need to enable you to model your work management organization. And this is different from your organizational hierarchy and effectively layers on things like people's competencies and so on. So with that in place, it's super easy for people to manually find the right person to do a piece of work. Maybe it's someone who's in a specific team, someone who's available right now, or someone who has a specific competency. And think of this like an org structure that's less focused on reporting lines and more on how work is actually done. So with that in place, it's really easy for people to find the right person to do a piece of work. It may be someone who's in a specific team, someone who has a specific competency, and so on. Just think of this like an org structure that's focused less on reporting lines and more about how work is actually done. So the second element within ShareDo are called allocation rules. And allocation rules are typically used in workflows and abstract the concept of who should do the work and make it completely flexible. So when I'm designing allocation rules and thinking about work disaggregation and work allocation, I often come back to the idea of doing less law. So this was a concept that Ron Friedman is a really smart guy. I think he's a Gartner analyst now. Used to blog about quite a lot, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And you can find those blogs if you search for like maybe Ron Prism Legal or something like that, right? And Ron talks about the best way to create more value is simply to do less. So when we're designing these allocation rules, we need to think about doing less. When I'm looking at an individual task or a piece or process, maybe it's about doing less lawyering, getting the lawyer to do less. So maybe I'm going, actually, I need to give that to my paralegal. Maybe I'm assigning indeed all of the tasks to a shared service centre. And maybe I'm only assigning the approval or checking of that work to the lawyer themselves. So the key to allocation rules is about doing less. And that's not to say these things can't be super sophisticated. So you're often going to be laying on workflows to go, actually, if someone didn't do it within a certain amount of time, then I need to escalate it and all that sort of stuff, right? So along with our allocation rules and the concept of doing less, I also always need to think about customer satisfaction and making sure that doing less in terms of the lawyering doesn't mean about doing less in terms of serving our customers. So a combination of organizational hierarchy, allocation rules, and focusing on customer satisfaction is going to enable us to drive better profitability through work disaggregation.